Kia ora there family, and welcome to this little one-off video that I'm calling Set 'em Up, Knock 'em Down. This is a video where I'll be breaking down two characters focused around the setup archetype in fighting games, Jack-O from Guilty Gear Strive, and Gargos from Killer Instinct. In the past I had done character comparison videos. The more recent one was comparing Exerd Potemkin to Strive Potemkin. The reason why I wanted to focus on these two characters was that ever since Jack-O's reveal trailer in Strive, I've only ever heard Maximilian Dude say that she's a little Gargos-like. And he's the only one I've heard say that, no one else. So I thought I might follow up on that by comparing these two characters and how they use minions for their setup based gimmicks. So anyway, let's get into it.
Kneel to your god.
Starting out with Jack-O, almost all of her special moves are tied to her servant gauge, which is the yellow meter above her tension gauge. All of her quarter circle back special moves will use the servant gauge, and she is able to beef this up with a special move which actually enhances the servant gauge so that you can continue abusing the attacks. The minion commands with Gargos are also quarter circle back, but only with kick. Light has him pointing to his feet, the medium version he swats a fly, and the heavy version makes it look like he's an impatient customer at a restaurant trying to get the waiter's attention. Quarter circle forward with punch is summon servant. Jack-O is able to have up to 3 on the screen at the same time, and they will last about 10 seconds on their own if you do not attack them or if the opponent doesn't attack them. With quarter circle back with both kicks, Gargos can summon 2 different minions. Now they do have actual name, but the K.i community just calls them Larry and Jerry. Larry is blue, moves slowly, and will obey Gargos immediately. Jerry is red, moves quickly, but he's a little more spastic. Both characters being able to grab their servants comes with its pros and cons. Jack-O can walk, run, and jump with her servants, as well as being able to throw them from either standing or jumping. Gargos, on the other hand, while grabbing a servant, he has to remain perfectly neutral and can only hold his servants for a few seconds before he's forced to drop them. On the flip side, holding the minion and attacking them doesn't damage them, but instead gives them a buff where they can use their special move, which is done with quarter circle back, heavy kick. And because Summon uses his shadow gauge, simply push back while holding the minion to gain some meter back. And don't worry, I didn't forget, despite that Jack-O can move around freely with her minions, on the downside, she does need to be aware of what she's doing, and she needs to use commands while holding the minions to keep herself safe. The triangle button on the PlayStation control is what she uses to shield, because while holding a minion, she's unable to guard. But once you're aware of what you're doing, your next job is to make your opponent wary of what you're doing and confuse the shit out of them. Just remember to also be aware of what you're doing as well, because the last thing you want to do is activate the self-destruct and yeah, that happens. As mentioned before, Jack-O can buff her servant gauge to give her minions more commands, but she has a second one where she can buff the servants directly. She can give them armor so that they don't disappear after getting hit, whether by Jack-O or the enemy. So yeah, on a surface level, that's Gargos and Jack-O's mix-up mechanics in a nutshell. Both of them rely on servants in order to mix up the opponent and put them in awkward guessing situations so they can get the leg up in a fight. And when you factor in elements like Strive's positive bonus mechanic, you can imagine just how nutty things can get with Jack-O when it comes to her combos, especially when you have the right positioning for her minions, whether they are on the opposite side or directly in front of her opponent. The combos with Jack-O can get pretty damn crazy. However, you might have noticed there is one key difference between Jack-O and Gargos, with how Strive and Killer Instinct both handle the archetype of setup. With Jack-O, the player controls the servants. With Gargos, the game controls the servants. If your instincts are on point, you are able to continue or start a combo with your minion, whether they are right in the opponent's face or if they're full screen. This is where the term setup really applies to Gargos' gameplay. Depending on the position that your minions are in on the stage, you need to move around your minions' positioning so that the game's AI is able to give you the appropriate setups and combo extensions that you need to get damage, meter, and all that good stuff. Think of it kind of like an assist from MVC3 or Dragon Ball FighterZ, but the assist will only activate when the opponent is in range of your minion. And even though the two minions are AI controlled, this does not feel restrictive at all. You always feel like you are in control with your minions on screen. That's another difference between Gargos and Jacko. With Jacko's minions, they feel like they're another part of her. But with Gargos, it literally feels like you are working with allies helping you in a fight. Even though he's a powerful bastard who doesn't really need help. So in conclusion, both of these characters are really scary threats when they bring their bros into the fight. But with Jacko, she needs the minions 24/7 to do practically anything. Without the minions, she really only relies on pokes and hard knockdowns in order to keep herself safe, so that she can summon the minions to do some really devastating damage, and to just overwhelm the opponent's defense. With Gargos, while he does do some crazy stuff with his minions, outside of that, it's frickin' Gargos. Have a look. And that's without the minions. But anyway, yeah, that's my video. Set him up, knock him down. Big shout out and thank you to Maximilian Dude for inspiring me to make this video, because the more I looked into it, the more it really did feel like how Jacko was similar to Gargos, except you need to do a lot more stuff with Jacko. It's basically what would happen if Gargos was a fully realized setup character. Almost as if Gargos was setting up for what Jacko would eventually become in Guilty. Holy fuck!